folks, welcome back to the workshop. Over the years I have had many different trolley designs and systems, but what I found was over the years that of using the trolley system was I was constantly picking it up. For example, I'd pick it up to get over the curb, pick it up to get over garden beds, pick it up to get upstairs, pick it up to walk through the customer's house, etc. So in the end I'm thinking, why am I using a trolley? I'm just going to set up a bucket. And so in this episode I will show you how I've set up my modified bucket for carrying my tools. Okay folks, so first of all I'll just give you a quick rundown on what I've done and how I've put it together. Okay, so let's start basically on the handle. Now the handle, as you can notice, sits up. It doesn't fall all the way down, even this way it doesn't. Reason for that, if this keeps falling down to the ground all the time, you need to keep reaching down to the ground to pick it up. What I've done here to keep it up is I've basically drilled a hole through here and put in a bolt. Show you that bolt. It's got a nice big washer on it. The bolt basically goes straight through here and out the other end, both sides. What that does is that catches the handle before it and doesn't let it drop down. Okay, there we go, like that. That keeps it upright. Now I've positioned it so that when I put tools in here, if they're wet tools, they're going to drip back into the bucket. If they're a squidgy, for example, and this channel comes across here, the handle sits inside the bucket. So let's have a look at the clips here. These are Pull-X clips. They're held in place with IKEA connectors, both sides here, drilled straight through the handle. This one here is MODMAN clips, cut down. These MODMAN clips have another one on this side which comes around, but cut those off, you don't need them. You can still use all Pull-X clips if you wish. You can put them here as well. I found these ones sat nicer in this position because of this curve. Now on the back here I've got another couple of Unger clips sitting back here. Now what they're for is when I'm carrying a dry mop, that will sit back here. When it's wet, it will sit in the bucket. On the sides here I've got couple of baskets. These baskets hold a variety of things which I'll go through shortly. On the end here is some more of the MODMAN clips. That's basically the other side of those, and they're to hold a strip washer for my Screen Magic. I'll show you that shortly. Same thing on this side. So both sides of the bucket have baskets. I basically cable tied those onto the bucket with cable ties there. Underneath the bucket I've fastened it with a strap holding on this section here, basically across the bottom and onto that section there. All that does is holds the basket from flopping about. Okay, so that's the basic basket setup. I've got a little thing over here, that can either hang onto a small detergent bottle, or you can put a bunch of bronze wool or steel wool in that little pouch there. Okay, so here we have the basic setup here. We have the dry mop sitting at the back there, out of the way. We have an 18-inch sitting on the front channel. We have a 10-inch sitting in the back hooks. They both sit inside for any drips. Come down, the handles sit nicely tucked inside. The reason for that is if I want to now take a wet mop and dunk it in. The handles and everything here is well out of the way. I can easily dunk the water into the bucket. When it's wet, it will either stay there or it will sit up here like that, and again drips back into the bucket. But when it's dry, I like to just hold it outside where it's nice and tucked away. But even the handle folds down and is tucked away. On the edge, on the baskets here, you've got your detergent bottle. You can have a bronze pad sitting in there or there. And on this side you have your Screen Magic spray bottle and the Screen Magic applicator. That's a basic setup. Okay, let's have a look at another setup here. Right, obvious one is the blower. Now, when you're doing residential, I use a blower a lot for residential, and you can just carry the whole thing in there in one hit. So that blower in there. Now, if you'll see down there, I've also got some rags. This can be set up, you can set up your bucket as a hard water stain removal bucket. So you can have your hard water stain removal gear in the basket here with some more detergent, with your bronze wool pad still in there, or your steel wool pad in there. You can also carry your scourer pad for the hard water stain. You can also carry a couple of spare towels or rags in the bottom there. Also, you can still have your Screen Magic gear on the side there. You can still carry a sea sponge with you. You can have the 18-inch sitting up here, or the 14, or both even. You can have an 18-inch there, and you can also sit in a 14-inch with it as well, and they both sit very nice and tidy. Still with plenty enough room to still, if you've got your mop coming in and out, there's still plenty of room. Alright, and in the back, on the back clips there is you carry your pole sitting in the back there. That's a Trad 4. I like the Trad 4 or the Unga 4. Pop the Unga 4 there as well, because they both sit beautifully inside the footprint of this particular basket here. If I wanted to carry a bigger pole, I will put it on there, yes, but I will also be aware that I have a bigger pole and be careful when people are walking about. But there's another setup for you right there. Now, I'll show you why I like to keep my poles and squidgies on the handle rather than hanging off the sides here or the sides here. I'll show you that now. So, with all the tools sitting on the handle itself, not hanging on the edges here, you can see how extremely stable and flat that bucket stays, even with a dry mop sitting on the end. I take the dry mop off and it's completely flat. So I can carry everything I need on this bucket, including water, and that bucket stays completely flat. There's no leaning over of the bucket, there's no spillage. I can carry this upstairs, I can carry this over garden beds, in through the customer's house without any problem. It's not heavy, it can be sat down, and because the handle sits up nice and on its lugs there, it means everything is at good reach. I can just bend down straight away and pick that up. There you go, folks, there's my bucket modification setup there. Now, as you know, I don't really use buckets a great deal for water. I'm more of a bottle on a belt sort of guy. But when I do use water for the larger commercial jobs that I'm doing traditional, I will use the bucket. But I won't keep the water in the bucket all day. I'll be tipping it out constantly and putting fresh water in. I don't leave water in the bucket when I transfer it to the vehicle. It gets tipped out. So you guys that like to keep water in your bucket and carry it with you, you're going to have to modify that so you can fit a lid. I'll use the bottle on the belt system. This type system here, this is a little bit of a prototype I'm working on at the moment, but I prefer to use a bottle and apply the bottle straight to the pad when I'm doing traditional work, things like that. Alright, so there you go folks, I hope you enjoyed that. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. This is MODMAN. Give that a go.